I'm Just Saying is sponsored by Zone Delivery USA. Fresh, healthy meals delivered to your door. For more information, go to zonedeliveryusa.com. Hover.com. Go to gfq.hover.com and get 10% off your entire purchase. And by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook by going to audiblepodcast.com/GFQ. Hey everyone, welcome to I'm Just Saying Week 50. The Big 5-0, Lon.
Yeah, like I've not done that before.
Yeah. How does it feel the second time around?
Yeah, well, 50 is always good the second time around. You know, you go over the hill, you start picking up speed. It's nice.
Joanna's not here today.
No.
It's only us.
And Aggie.
And Aggie on a very romantic Valentine's Day.
Yes. I love you, Andrew.
I love you too, Lon. We just had dinner. We had a lovely evening.
Not Andrew and I.
No, not us. It was me and Aggie, actually. Lon actually showed up in an egg shape. In an egg
shape pod.
Yeah, an egg
I'm dilating.
Pod. Yeah, actually, he's dilating right now. He's getting all ready.
Oh, man.
Wasn't that ridiculous yesterday?
Oh, it
horrible.
was I've not watched the Grammys in forever. And I said, I'm now the barometer of hip.
Yeah,
for all
because you're
people.
watching it.
Yeah. For all people over, 106. So I just started to watch it. Actually, I didn't plan to be in last night, but Joanna got sick. So I was in, and I just started watching it, and Joanna just got sicker. And I continued to watch it.
You just continue to watch it?
And it was I was stunned. First of all, the sound... No matter
horrible.
who was singing, was awful.
Yeah.
I don't know who the audio engineer for the show was.
It was bad.
But they were awful.
Well, do you know what the graphic was, how everything was falling apart? That's exactly what the Grammys were like. It was just a giant train wreck. It was just crumbling as it went on.
Yeah,
they're
just trying to do too much. Have you ever gone through the awards what they award a Grammy for? What categories? There's 100 and... There's 140 some odd categories.
Crazy categories. And people win Grammys and you've never heard of them. And there's some engineer on some...
Songs by puppets with a lisp, I mean, it was just insane. I was just watching and just everything. I felt like a puppy through most of it. Like I'd watch something and I would find myself going... tilting my head and going, what?
I did play-by-play commentary on Facebook throughout the entire process of the Grammys.
Oh yeah.
Let me read some of it.
Okay.
I started off with weird. Why did they allow a 54-year-old trainee to sing a really bad version of Madonna's "Express Yourself"?
Oh God.
Her new song is just like "Express Yourself" by Madonna.
And you know what? I love the message of the song. I think it's a great idea.
It's a horrible song.
And you know what? I said to someone last night on Facebook, they were like, no, it's not Express Yourself. She's of this generation. And I said, right, because you grew up in this generation.
Yeah.
You didn't sit around praising Madonna. And everyone that looked at Madonna 20 years ago went, it's Grace Jones.
Yeah.
And everyone who looked at Grace Jones said, oh, look, it's, someone trying to be the Black Cher. It's just like there's always been someone. You can trace it back to Carmen Miranda.
Yeah.
I mean... In 20 years, everyone's going to be, I used to make this joke in school. The kids that I was teaching in 8th grade, someday they're going to be 65 years old, and Christina Aguilera is going to be, in Vegas doing shows with her granddaughter,
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And someone will come along and go, no, this is real music. And all it is a copy of something that's come before.
Else.
I'm sure Mozart copied from someone who was copying from someone who was copying from someone. You can't go without influence. How else do you learn anything?
Well, Lady Gaga showed up.
And there's only 8 notes.
Lady Gaga showed up in an egg-shaped pod with egg people.
Right, and she didn't do any runway interviews. She came down the runway
in the egg-shaped pod.
And one of her assistants kept saying, she can't come out. She's dilating.
Is that what she was saying?
Yeah.
Why would she say that?
Well, I think what they meant was she was incubating. You incubate in the egg.
Yeah.
Whoever laid the egg,
dilate.
That person was that creature was dilating.
God.
It just,
what a train wreck.
The thing that kills me is I think she's got a really good voice. She's obviously got musical skills, but she is so much about the Dog and Pony Show.
I think the Dog and Pony Show made her who she is.
Right, exackly. And
if she was Stephanie Germanotta or whatever her name was, nobody would care about it.
Right, and that's unfortunately what it is with everyone. Whoever is famous for 2 reasons. They have enough talent and enough drive.
Did you see our manager?
No.
Okay. I made this comment following my first why did they allow 54-year-old tranny was, why is Joey Buttafuoco sitting next to Lady Gaga? And why does John Mayer look like Johnny Depp? Did you notice how John Mayer looks just like Johnny Depp?
Yeah, at certain angles he really did.
It was creepy. And so I made that reference and people messaged me like, what are you talking about? Who's Joey Buttafuoco? I guess it's such a regional reference.
Yeah.
But her manager looks like Joey Buttafuoco.
Absolutely.
So I made that. And then I followed with Mumford & Son was great, which they were unbelievable. Mumford & Son performed a great job. And then I wrote, according to the girl with the broken nose from Glee, the Grammys now have Wimmers.
Yeah.
She said Wimmers. Then I followed up with Black Elton John, something, something, NBC logo, something, something, Gwyneth Paltrow, something, something, Muppets. Then I said I made another Johnny Depp. I never knew Johnny Depp could sing. Can't wait till Sideshow Bob is performing with a man claiming to be a chocolatey treat, referring to Eminem and Rihanna. I wrote, hi, I won't be able to come to work today. I'm celebrating Dre Day because everybody on Facebook was excited that Dr. Dre was performing. Then I wrote, Skinny Chaz Bono is a great rapper. And I wrote, Eminem doesn't seem to be enjoying his sobriety. And then I wrote, what's in Puffy's mouth? Because Puffy could barely speak. And you wrote, a handgun.
Yeah. I answered some things back. Someone was, and then I commented that when Barbara Streisand came on, that I was a little upset that there were no backup singers or pyrotechnics, or that she wasn't wearing a suit made out of meat.
Temple Torah was having a ball when Barbara came out.
Oh yeah, I mean, all my gay friends were going,
That's
real music.
That's
real music.
They were all dressed like Cher as well.
And I love Barbara Streisand. Don't get me wrong, but I think every singer in the world, it's like, sing the damn song.
Sing the song.
There always seemed to be something out of place. Like when they did that whole thing with Bruno Mars and the two other people, it was like one of them needed not to be there.
Yeah, exactly. Everything. I think the audio was just poorly done. Bob Dylan looked like a child molester. The best part of the Grammys were when Mark Anthony and Jennifer Lopez came out and they did that presentation together.
Oh, yeah.
And the look on Mark Anthony's face summed up that entire marriage.
Yeah.
He did one of these, and I'm sorry for the people listening. They won't be able to see it. So she said something. He goes like this.
Yeah, she just looked like she wanted to bitch slap him like every other minute.
And it just seemed like he can never get a word in. He'll never be right, this guy. Whatever he says, she'll go, no, Papi, no.
Right.
He was. It just summed up the entire marriage.
Or even worse, the one that goes like this. Honey. You know what would be better?
Yeah.
Those are the ones that kill.
It was, and that was me wasting.
How cute it is that you thought.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, really.
Yeah, how cute.
And then the beginning number with like.
I missed the first 20 minutes.
Okay.
So
the opening number that was the tribute to Aretha Franklin.
Uh-huh.
They had 5 people. They had this gospel singer. They had this singer from an alternative band from Florence and whatever. And she was kind of holding her own. But, I love Tina McBride. She's like, she was on my fidelity waiver clause for years. She's a cute lady. She's a really good singer. But, man, she was just so out of place in that number. And I think they wanted to represent, they had no Tejano singers within there.
I don't know.
Do you know they give an Emmy, a Grammy for Best Hawaiian Album?
Do they really?
Yeah.
Who's the person that won that this year?
Oh, you got to look it up. There's a Grammy, and all the winners are on there. You have to look it up. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, there was some ridiculous.
But most of the awards were given out. It was really a performance, 3 hours of performance.
Did you notice how they went? They gave very little awards, number one. Number two, they came back from a break. They had 2 performances back to back.
Right.
And I watched for like 30 minutes and there were no awards given.
Right.
They screwed up during the awards because some of them, they had like clips of the songs, like music videos of it. And in other times, they didn't have any clips.
They just ran a little tape of it.
No, not even ran a tape. They just showed the person, but they showed the wrong person.
Yeah, it was
poorly done. And I'm wondering if it was like budget cuts or something. I think it was like on a production standpoint, it was really poorly produced.
I'm sorry. My favorite thing of the night is that Justin Bieber didn't win. You know.
Oh, people are
like they want they hacked that poor woman who won.
and she's a jazz singer.
Have you heard her? I went and listened to her.
She's great.
She's I did.
By the way, Lon, why would a jazz singer actually win? Why would someone that's doing something uniquely different in 2011 win a Grammy? How dare you?
Because they can sing.
Yeah, I was amazed by that. Bruno Mars did a decent job. I thought the best performance was Mumford
I think
&
you and
Son.
I should start a movement. You know how everyone has beeper fever? I think we should have Esperanza Influenza. We should pump her. We should get her to do a theme song for this network.
I forgot the other band that performed Mumford and Son and Bob Dylan. Oh God, the Avid Brothers. There you go.
Yeah, and then I'm sorry, I don't know who Miser is. I don't know who. No, not Miser. It's awful. Who was
Miser?
Who was the band that won? The first band that won.
I don't know. I missed.
Starts with an M. Mutant.
Muse.
Muse. Yeah.
Muse.
Miser. God, do I sound like an old man?
You got to put
that's noise. That's
you got to put the in
ridiculous.
front of everything. The Miser.
The Miser group.
The Muse. The Led Zeppelin. He's a great singer, that Zeppelin.
You know who was good? Mick Jagger.
Yeah, he ran laps around. I can't even talk now. Laps around them.
I had a friend post that he made anorexics feel good.
Why he's looking at
he was a stick with a suit. I think that's why they
Mick.
keep
How old is Mick now? He's up there, right?
What I love is he said, if I'm singing Satisfaction when I'm 40, kill me. And he's now like in his he's over he's at or around 65 now.
I'm wondering
because McCartney just turned 65 too.
No, McCartney turned 72.
McCartney is
I think so.
No, I don't think so.
How old? Yeah.
Bob Dylan is 119.
Yeah, Paul McCartney is up there right now. He is, I'll tell you right now, born 1942, so he's 68. 68. Yeah, he's up there.
Wow.
They're getting old, huh?
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting? I mean, they've gotten old.
He won a Grammy for some like live performance of something.
Probably the one he did at Citi Field.
Yeah, he won.
Yeah, probably that. And I had that album. It's a really good album. What I'm wondering is when Bob Dylan was out, who was the old-time singer then?
It's so different now.
And did they have
this generation, like kids that could, people that could be my kids who are now like in their mid-20s, even very early 30s. Someone who's my kid. Mm-hmm. If I had a kid at 18, I could have a 35-year-old kid.
Like, give me an example of someone when you were younger, when you were like in your late teens, early 20s. And there was an old-time singer that people said, wow, this is real music.
Oh, when your parents said it was real music, they were saying it about all the Rat Packers because you realize the Rat Packers
the Rat Packers are still real music.
Right.
I mean, they've held up.
Yeah. Well, what I always say to
Billy
people
Joel has
right.
held up.
Right,
Billy Joel's my parents' thing, and I listen to Billy constantly.
Right. Exactly. But I think like there's not a lot of rock and roll.
I don't think my kids will listen to Muse.
Right. I don't know anyone whose kids are listening to Crisscross.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fascinating because this is, and also you got to remember, and I think you said something when you were teaching. You said, can you imagine when you're older, the music you listen to, like you listen to gangster rap. Can you imagine being an 85-year-old man saying,
I want to be at the 50th anniversary where the couple that's been married 50 years has, mom bent over and is smacking her ass, smack that ass was their wedding song. Yeah. I can't imagine.
I don't think these songs
I think a lot of people go from like heavy, really weird. I know a lot of people that were real heavy metal fans, and what they do is they go from heavy metal to like listening to retro, like Allman Brothers, which is like Southern rock, and then they kind of transition into that, a lot of that crossover country music.
I'm wearing my AC/DC shirt today.
Right. But there are not a lot of people that sit around like easy listening. See, the thing is, I'm no barometer of music because to me, music is so emotional that I have to be doing certain things to be listening to certain music. There's music that I ride the bicycle to. There's music that I drive a car to. There's music that I play in my house. I've never listened to dance music. I've danced to dance music, but a lot of club music, like club music and techno and all that stuff.
And that kind of stuff doesn't hold. I want to continue this because it's a really interesting conversation. But before I do, I want to talk about a sponsor of our network, and that's Hover.com. I'm so excited to have Hover on board. They're amazing. When you're buying a domain name and you're trying to build this website of yours, the last thing you want is to go through 1,000 pages of nonsense upsell. Do you want this protection? Do you want this guarantee? Do you want this lock on your account? Do you want to file a business? Do you want to become a corporation? I mean, every possible measure of upsell is being, done with a lot of these companies out there. And you're having, women as their spokespersons, and they're trying to do every other angle except give you what you want. And you want to buy a domain, you want to be done, and you want to start your website. Well, with Hover, they make it extremely easy. You go to hover.com. Actually, you go to gfq.hover.com. That's our landing page. You put in the domain that you want. They say, we have it. They suggest you other ones if they don't have it, and you buy it. The great part about it is they give you their privacy, the who is privacy. So if anybody's looking to find out, does Lon own, who owns lawnblaze.com, your name and address and phone number won't show up. And they throw this in where a lot of other people charge you for it. They also make transferring domains extremely easy. You don't need to be tied down to somebody that you've been with for a while just because you've been buying it with them. You could transfer your domain, and they have a flat rate too. If you go to hover.com, you can find out all the information there. Hover also wanted me to let you know that they've extended their .co promotion. It's 50% off all .cos. Originally $30, now $15. And you also get an additional $10 when you use our promo code GFQ. They're extending it till the 19th, so if you want to buy a .co, this is the time to buy a .co. Go to gfq.hover.com and get started.
I often wondered when the time would come when people would stop saying www and they start doing that. If you just go, because I have a website,
you get lawnblaze.com.
You don't have to say www. And why people say .com, like that would be the understood. What you'd have to start saying is like .co or .org, that sort of thing. And that still hasn't. Everyone still says ..
Yeah, they have the .com. Well, it's interesting because .com has become is you want a .com when you're buying a domain, but the problem with .coms is it's all sold out. Every .com, unless you want some obscure 40-digit, 40-character name, pretty much everything is taken. So now .co only has 600,000 accounts already. That's all it has, 600,000 URLs. So you could pretty much find everything you want. So we're talking about the Grammys tonight. We're talking about some other things too, but we're still on the Grammys. I don't know. I think it's interesting because when you talk about transitional music, you talk about, I'll listen to Dylan. I listen to a lot of stuff from the 60s. I listen to a lot of the Rat Pack stuff, even stuff from the 50s.
I think anyone should just say,
held up.
Right. Just what do you listen that was out 5 years ago?
Nothing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And, there's like it started in the 90s. Here, I'll tell you,
Mumford and Son was the last album I bought, and I'm actually I told Jess to buy the Avid Brothers because I thought they did a great job.
I'll give you a warning for your future of what's to come. One of the most frightening moments is when you look at the top 20 in the country and go, I don't know any of this. Yeah. I don't know the artists. I don't know the music.
Well, I'm starting to get there.
Yeah.
I'm starting to I look at names. I'm like, who is this person?
Yep, absolutely.
Who is Nicki Minaj?
Yeah.
I should know her. She's from Queens,
Right. Oh, yeah, she was trying too hard last night. That was some weird ass.
She wants to be the hip-hop Lady Gaga. But, I watched an interesting documentary on her. She wants to be an actress in the worst way. She doesn't want to be a singer. Mm-hmm. And she's using the singing and the rapping to become an actress. And she's pretty self-aware of what's going on.
I love acting, and I will go about it any way that I can. If I do it through this, cool. If I get cast on a reality show, cool. These entrees didn't exist. That was the rare exception. It used to be like if someone was Miss Universe or that sort of thing. Now it's if you're Miss Cuba, once, or Miss Cuba runner-up. Like all these people, like even people on the Bachelor, the people that are the fourth runner-up get their own show now. The reality shows are running that deep now. It's amazing.
I don't think, you got to look at, is my kid, my kid's going to, who knows? Like, let's say my kid turns, I'm having some issues with the recording today. Wow. It keeps crashing for whatever's telling me my hard drive is no good. My kid turns 30. Are they going to say, when they have a kid, that Katy Perry, now that's an unbelievable singer. That's who you should be listening to. I don't think the people now in music are going to transition the way that, musicians from the 70s and 80s
I
and
think
60s
what it is
did, because
now,
the music meant something. There was a timepiece for it. There was something behind it. There was a story. Now, there's so much more than just singing.
The investment into any kind of entertainer now, be it an actor, be it a musician, be it a singer, is in what they can do for you for the moment. And they're willing to throw a lot of cash to make a lot of very quick money. I mean, look at groups. Groups do not last in the same way. A group is around for a little bit, and then they just disband. You know, even the Beatles, the Beatles didn't last all that long, and then there were groups that reform because they understand that, the Eagles, because they
the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones will be around until we die.
Right.
The Stones will be far beyond that. We'll be dead, and the Stones are still going on.
Oh, yeah.
Jagger's going out there and doing his chicken strut. And
they'll be holograms.
Holograms of them. I mean, it's fascinating. I'm looking at the top 10 right now, okay, the Billboard charts.
Yeah.
Number 1, Wiz Khalifa, Black and Yellow is the number 1 song. Bruno Mars, Katy Perry, Pink, Dr. Dre featuring Eminem, I Need a Doctor, Enrique Iglesias, Far East Movement featuring Ryan Tedder. You think that guy's still going to be around in 10 years? No. Rihanna, Pitbull, featuring T-Pain, Britney Spears. Look, let's count how many of them. Enrique's from the last decade. Britney's from the last decade.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre's from the last decade. Eminem is from the last decade. Pink is also. So there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the. So 50% of the songs are new musicians.
Right.
And let's say 50%.
But even those, like you say, from the last decade, is there a musician there that's from 3 decades? And if you go into the charts, you'd find musicians that were 3 decades in.
Billy Joel said it right, and he had a whole feud with Elton John a couple weeks ago.
Elton demanded that Billy get some rehab.
Well, no, he said Billy's copping out because he hasn't written a song. He goes, Billy, write a song. What are you scared of? And Billy Joel has said, I can't write a pop hit anymore. It's a different business now. I'm 63 years old. Yeah. What do I have to sing about? What pop song can I possibly do that's going to relate to the young kids? Because I'm not, so I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to try.
I'm kind of surprised that Billy Joel hasn't written a musical.
He hasn't written. When was the last song he wrote? Last pop song. He wrote a classical album.
Right.
The last pop song was in 1988, 1989, River of Dreams.
River of Dreams, that album. Yeah, absolutely.
Which that album was horrible. Well, it had 3 good songs.
It had 3 good songs on it.
Yeah.
Well, because now it's not about albums, it's about tunes.
You think Kesha's going to hold up?
No.
It seems like there's no longevity with the artist.
You know who will last? And you always know who will last because they make an album of standards. I will bet you in the next 10 years, let's go with 10, that Justin Timberlake will do an album of songs like Rod Stewart did.
Yeah.
I mean, classic songs. I mean, songs that Sinatra would have done.
I think the problem is, Lon, there's no longevity anymore. You don't need longevity. You need a longevity in the music business to make money because what would happen, there wasn't any money in the music business. These guys would get nothing. The record industry would get everything, and it's still that way to some extent, but they make millions from endorsements, from touring, from merchandise.
Yeah, well,
from
most of the people
TV appearances.
Like Elton John and the Rolling Stones and stuff, they make more of their money out of concerts.
But now they're making, you think the Stones made money early on? No, they didn't make a dime because everybody took the money. Now you have one pop hit. They'll create it into this thing. Everybody has a stylist and a manager and a publicist, and everybody has an entire team.
Everyone's
behind
an
them.
industry.
Everybody's an industry, exactly, and everybody has an entire team to make sure you're going to be able to survive. And when you stop making those hits, what do? They make you do outrageous stuff, and you burn your entire career. Look at someone like Kesha. What could Kesha possibly do in 10 years that she hasn't done now? Britney Spears is another one. They paced her until it exploded.
Right.
And they milk everything they could get out of it. That's what the industry has become.
Yeah, everything burns faster.
You don't have bands that are going to put out, have a 20-year goal, 20-year career.
No,
that's not going to happen.
You will have bands that, I'll take a band, you know what? I'll invest in a band that's out now Train.
But they've broken up how many times?
Right.
Pat Monahan, by the way, he thanked Howard Stern when he got his award, which was really cool.
That's what will happen. You'll have bands that will get apart and come together. Cut back part, put together. You may find a very interesting Black Eyed Peas in 10 years. You might. Yeah. But they're going to be doing something very different.
By the way, Train started off as a Led Zeppelin cover band.
That's amazing.
That's how they started off. And
so
nobody
cool.
would listen to their songs until they had, I think, Drops of Jupiter. And I think, that was their first hit. It's fascinating. I think, like CeeLo Green, the F You song, the Forget You song.
Yeah.
This guy, actually, he started in a group called the Goody Mob Gang, and it was a rap group from the South. That's how he started, and he disappeared for years, and he finally, resurfaced.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
I think what happens
a tough
is
business.
Because the business now is not music; it's like attitude. It's musical attitude.
It's everything but the music. It's the character.
Right.
You look at anybody. I think you look at anybody, and there's so it's not that they come out and they say.
Like I just thought
you look at the hair and the eyes and the makeup and the outfit and the everything.
Right, and their look before you know their sound,
exactly.
which was different. In a years past, you would have had someone like Justin Bieber, but there wouldn't have been Bieber fever before there was a reason to have Bieber fever.
Well, Justin Bieber is a reincarnation of Justin Timberlake. That's exactly what it is without the boy band.
Well, he's a lot of things. He's Donny Osmond. Yeah. He's a lot of things. He is a pseudo-androgynous look that.
But that look is always done well. If you're
Cassidy,
exactly that androgynous,
he looks like Sean Cassidy.
Non-intimidating look will always do well in the business.
Right, exactly. It's boy bands.
Yeah.
The reason they're called boy bands.
I was telling Jess, I said I can't wait till he's 25 and he goes on a coke binge and he slams his car and he crashes it on Sunset Boulevard and his mugshot is that stupid haircut, but his face is aged and he looks 40, but he's really 25.
Did you see the Letterman piece on that they played during the Grammys? The big surprises.
Yeah.
My favorite was the biggest surprise at the Grammys, Bieber hairpiece.
Yeah. And you know what he should have done? If he had any kind of personality, he would have tugged on his hair. And I'm thinking, if this guy had any type, there's zero personality there. You know what I would have done? I would have started tugging on my hair.
And here's the thing. From as much slamming, I don't think the guy's without talent. I just don't think it's marketed right. I think the kid has some talent. I really do.
But I don't think the talent is what's selling the records. I think you know how many people have talent? You know how many overweight, not great looking singers go out to a record company and they perform and they have a stunning voice, but they'll never get a record because they don't have that look.
Aretha Franklin could never be a star today.
Never. Well, do you remember that
with the same voice?
Okay, CNC Factory from the 90s.
Right.
The singer was not the singer. It was
one of the Weather Girls.
Yeah.
It was one of the
one of the Weather Girls.
A group called Two Tons of Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It's amazing. You can't, to you, who is the most, not the best music, the most talented musician performing today?
In today's music?
Yeah. You know who I think is dynamic, amazing? Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys, yeah, but I don't think she has I think Rihanna right now is probably
one
of the most
famous.
talented.
I mean literally talented. Because those people, like I said, it's not just a matter of talent. It's marketability.
I think the only one right now that has any type of talent and is actually, doing well is Rihanna. I think she's a great singer. Yep. But you got to remember, she was handpicked since she was 16 by Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. She used to walk around everywhere with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z used to go, "That's my artist," to everybody, and he got her started.
Absolutely. All in all, I think we're in a period of time that's just confused. I think we have been since the 90s.
I don't think anything is relatable. I think we've become such an impersonal society where even the music is impersonal. There's nothing personal about the music.
There's nothing that we don't get emotionally involved in music like we did. When was the last time that there was a song that was number one for more than 3 weeks?
You know what it could be? I think even though, it's tough times, the economy's bad, people are suffering, it's not relatable. I don't think people relate to that. I think we've become so impersonal where even though, somebody doesn't have money, but guess what? You have a plasma TV. You're still driving a Mercedes. I think we've become such a society where There's no struggle. There's no feelings. Everything is just out there. Everybody says what they want. Nobody keeps anything in. Everything is exposed. I'm thinking, and I was thinking this yesterday. If I was, 14, 15, 13, 12, let's say I was a teenager and YouTube was around and Twitter was around and Facebook was around, I would have done and said and taken so many ridiculous pictures and who knows what I would be doing right now. Because everything was out there and you were able to expose it to everybody. You know how many pictures are out of kids doing crazy stuff? Nothing is held personal anymore, sacred. Nothing is sacred anymore. Everything is exposed.
And therefore, anything that's going to catch anyone's attention has to be even bigger.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's really sad. It doesn't go
You've
anywhere.
You've seen and heard everything.
And people burn out. I have one of my former students who I'm a friend with who said we're completely an overstimulated generation. There's too much available to us, so nothing is exciting. He said this is going to be. She said you one of the reasons that people aren't getting married is because they don't have the patience to do it.
Well, they don't need to.
Right.
They don't need to get settled down.
Yeah.
Because they know, there was a certain age where everybody had a girlfriend. And then let's say, by 23, 24, 25, everybody's starting to settle down, but nobody's ever settling down.
Right. Well,
everybody is still single, so there's never, settling. And I think we expect too much. I think we become a society where everything has to be such a way, nobody wants to work at it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
It's a weird age,
well,
and I'm looking. Look at
there's
this.
a really weird phenomenon. When Joanna was a guidance counselor, she started to meet kids who, when you said, what do they want to do when they grow up? And I think you're going to catch what I'm talking about here. What they want to do when they grow up is be famous.
Yeah.
At what? I just want to be famous.
I don't want to be famous. I want to make money. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, I
don't care for the fame.
I used to want to be famous. But because that meant if I was famous, it was because I was in a movie.
You know what? Let me be
famous
famous enough.
An Oscar.
Let me be famous enough to make money, and I don't get weird people calling me. Like, I'll be there.
I want to be. There's a guy, an actor I always cite. His name is Dan Hedaya. He was the father in the movie Clueless. He was Bette Midler's husband in The First Wives Club. He was Carla's husband on Cheers. He's been around. He's been around a ton. But when a movie succeeds, no one ever says, wow, that movie succeeded because Dan Hedaya was in it. Okay? He always plays like a third banana. But when a movie fails, people don't go, did you see that awful piece of crap Dan Hedaya film?
Yeah.
Okay? And he would bounce and do 3 days shooting in 20 movies every year. He'd do like 60 days work. He'd be in 20 movies, whereas, Schwarzenegger would be in 2. Okay?
Yeah.
And he wouldn't make as much money as Schwarzenegger, but he also didn't need as much representation. He didn't need a groomer. He didn't need a trainer. He didn't need all that. And he made really insanely good money for a long time. That's the kind of actor. And Dan Hedaya could walk down the street and people would go, he looks familiar. You don't go, oh my God, it's Dan Hedaya, and you mob him. That's the kind of famous I'd like to be. I'd like to work as an actor. That's what I'd like to do.
It's an interesting thing. You're right. A lot of people want to be famous.
For what? I just want to be famous.
I just want to be famous. I don't want to do anything.
Paris Hilton brought that. Paris Hilton was the ultimate in the famous for being famous.
I'm thinking, did I have that when I was a teenager? Because
Not
Paris
as much.
Hilton's later on. We didn't have that.
No, you didn't. You had famous singers, you had famous actors, you had famous athletes. That's
we
what
didn't
you used to have.
We didn't have like socialites.
Right. You didn't have the Housewives of New Jersey.
Yeah.
They're famous for not for acting, for having a TV show, but they're kind of famous for being famous.
I don't know. It's such a weird thing. Like, I'm thinking,
we're in a weird time.
I get, and all my friends, they think Jess and I are so weird for getting married. They think that, like, but you guys are in your 20s. Why are you married?
Yeah.
I said, I don't want to be an old hen when that's what she said. She goes, I don't want to be an old hen when I have a kid.
Yeah.
They think it's so weird, and they think it's so weird just getting a doctorate and but I mean, my whole life is bizarre to everybody.
Yeah.
They find it so weird, and one of my friends said it right to go, what do you two talk about? I said, what do you mean, what do we talk about? He goes, I picture you talking about law and shit. I'm like, yeah, we sit down and talk about law.
We talk about everything.
Like, it blows their mind.
But don't you always find that those people still want you to sit at their tables?
The same person who said that. They're like, why are you getting married? Why are you getting married? She got knocked up, had a kid. They got into a vicious fight, sent the guy to jail. The guy got out of jail, and guess what? They're having another kid, but they will not get married.
Yeah, because
They won't get married.
That'll ruin it.
That'll ruin everything.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It's
well,
weird.
listen, I get the opposite. I mean, here I am. I've been married 24 years, and we don't have kids. I can't tell you the number of people that think that's, all kinds of weird, and that we're still married and we're there. It just freaks people out.
I think there's certain expectations in life. Now I think it's going to be more common. I think my generation you're going to start seeing a huge.
You're going to have a bunch of people having babies like at 37 and 38 years old.
I was going to say either that or they're not going to have kids at all because we become such a selfish society.
Oh, yeah.
We're so selfish. My generation is so selfish. We won't have a kid because it'll take
steal
away
time
from them.
from you.
Steal time, steal money. I have a friend. He's 36. He doesn't want to have a kid. 34, 36. I'm not too sure. He's been with this girl for about 6 or 7 years. I could have a kid or I could
go to Vegas,
And he says, I don't want to have a kid. And I said, why? He goes, it's going to take my money away. I'm making $100,000 a year. So I'm thinking it's going to cost me about $30,000. I can't have that BMW anymore.
I love it.
That's his answer.
It's fabulous. It is fabulous.
It is. I mean, it's something else. I don't know, and I'm the weird one, right?
What we need is to have like a mass revolution like they're doing in the rest of the world. That's what we need to do.
The whole entire world is exploding. Did you this Egypt thing? I'm surprised that he left.
The most interesting thing that I've heard about this all was there's a guy that blogs like sort of the pulse of things in the Mideast, and when Tunisia, kind of because Tunisia did this first.
Tunisia
did this 6 weeks ago. Okay, Tunisia just demanded that their president leave. Okay. Also, do you know in these countries in Tunisia the same, in Egypt, 70% of the population of Egypt is under 30 years old.
Yeah, it's a very young population. Yeah.
Right, it's insanely young, and I think these people know how the world is. They are, they are a twittering, interneting, Facebooking kind of people,
I think,
and it's very hard to be a communist country, know, and it's hard to be a totalitarian country, a dictatorship, when the whole world knows that what your leader, your omnipotent leader, is telling you is kind of bullshit.
They've right now, Tunisia. When Tunisia fell, knowing something about Middle Eastern politics and the way it is, it was going to cause a domino effect. And it was imminent, and it was going to be. I didn't expect it to be so soon. I didn't expect Egypt for the government to crumble, and that only means one thing to me. It means two things. A, Mubarak was in poor health, which the reports.
Well, he was going in 6 months anyway.
Yeah,
he was going to hand it over. His son was being bred for it.
Yeah, but I think he's in really bad health, and I think he just gave up. B, the military turned on him and said, "No, we're not going to follow your orders. You have to leave." Now the next question is, who's next? Today they were actually Egypt is protesting again, and this is where it gets bad. When are they going to stop the protests?
Right, because they get used to it.
Now you're demanding everything. So now they're demanding more pay.
We want French toast.
Exactly. I mean, now you've given a voice, and they've. It's like when the child, and this is a bad analogy. And listen, I'm all for the Egyptian protests and the Egyptian people. I'm just saying. I'm giving an example. When you've taught the child, don't put this here, and then finally you say, you know what, you could do that. Now they're going to push it even more, and they're going to want this, and they're going to want this. So
exactly,
how is that military government able to handle this? Because it's a new government. There's going
to be uprising for a while, but it's we've spoken about this off air an awful lot about you just have to be careful what assumes the place once the vacuum is created.
Well, look at Tehran now. Tehran. Yeah. And what was interesting? It was very symbolic. 32 years of the Iran Revolution, where the Shah left. Yeah. That's when Egypt fell. That's when the government left. It was very symbolic. 32 years on the day of. I found it very interesting that they did it that way. Yeah. But
we were talking before the show that there are uprisings now in Yemen.
Yeah. Well, listen, these people have been these mullahs, these Islamic fundamentalists have taken over that entire region. People don't remember what Iran was like in the early 70s. It was the Paris of the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Many of these countries, they were very developed and very westernized and very straightforward. And the same people that are revolting now, the young, educated college kids, were the ones who revolted and put, the Ayatollah in, and they put these governments in because they were so tired of the dictatorships in the country. That's the only fear. I mean, once they leave, Lon, who comes in next?
Right.
How are you
The
gonna
the most organized.
Exactly.
And generally, the most organized are the most fanatic.
Exactly.
Because all the liberal thinkers are like, well, we could do this, we could do that. The others are like, we want to take over. It's like, yeah, the most fanatic portions generally are the most organized because they have such an agenda. Or the most oppressed group because they know exactly what they would do if their chance came.
They're
and
the
nothing scarier than when the oppressed people take over.
Exactly.
Because they got an axe to grind.
But you know what was interesting?
Remember the French Revolution.
They were fighting in Iran over the summer where the protests were happening. They were fighting for Mousavi to come in.
Right.
Mousavi should have been the president. That's whatever the fight was. But Mousavi is not a westernized man. He's not very much for the American people. So it would have been the same thing technically.
Yeah, it's amazing how people invite their own bullshit again and again.
But I think it'll be extremely difficult in Iran because they're not a developed nation like Egypt is. I think Egypt is far more westernized compared to what Iran is because Iran is run
only by mere geographic location and their proximity to Israel.
Yeah.
And Israel, whatever you think of them, industrialized that nation and organized it in a way that other Mideast nations never did.
It's gonna get so bad. I mean, this is just gonna get worse. Yemen is gonna crumble because it's not. They don't have money. They're not as sophisticated.
All I know is that we should have an alternative energy source real fast.
Well, what happens when they fall? If Iran falls, it's gonna be really bad because how much oil is being spread around the world from them.
Right.
I'm not talking about our oil. I'm talking about the rest of the world.
Right.
So this is gonna get. It's amazing how the internet has caused this. How Facebook and Twitter are the force behind it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking if we had this 20, 30 years before, if there was something like this, because you're talking 30 years. 32 years is not a long time period. But look how much we've developed in 32 years with our communication.
Well, ever since the Industrial Revolution, every 10-year period
it's
becomes shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
It's exponential. If I think like everything that's a gadget in this room. Well, the other day I was blown away is that this iPhone contains 5 times more technology than the spaceship that went to the moon.
Yeah. It's stunning. It's
blows
amazing.
Me away.
I mean, it's what are we going to see in 10 more years or 30 more years when I'm, in 60? Well, it blows my mind because I'm so interested in this.
I think there's a good and a bad side to all of this.
Yeah.
I think the technology creates like identity theft and
but look at what it's created.
And isolation, but it also creates equality that everyone is privy to the same information. Unfortunately, much of that information is unchecked.
The one great thing about technology, not the one great thing, but one of the many is how, we're Americans, for the most part, we're the only ones, and we all have this mentality. We're the only ones that deserve this. We're the only ones that have this. Oh, you're from wherever? Oh, you're not as sophisticated as me. You're not as smart as me because I'm American. We have this. We have that. I think now we're starting to realize how everybody around the world has this technology and how connected we are and how we're such a globalized society.
It's time for the Trilateral Commission in the world government. Yeah.
It's starting.
Yeah.
It started. That's it.
Yeah, there we go.
The Illuminati and the giant eye and all in that
people behind grassy knolls.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's all unfolding now.
So where do you think Mubarak's going to go now?
Well, they said Mubarak.
I think he'll do the Disney World commercial.
You've
been a despot for 32 years.
I think I'm
going to Disney World.
In my opinion, I think he's sick. I think he doesn't have, you're going to hear he's going to be in some French
Did you see what I wrote
hospital.
on Facebook? At a certain angle, he looks like a young Steven Seagal.
He does. But, I mean, the jet black hair. Come on.
Yeah.
He's in his 70s, this guy. My uncle is like 80 years old. My father's uncle.
Looks
and
like
this guy has the jet black hair. I mean, black. I mean,
you know what I love?
Like my leather couch.
If you ask Americans what's going on, they believe that it's Arabs fighting Arabs. Because they're all named, Mubarak and stuff. And did you see this? There was a straw poll of people in I don't want to indict a state. Somewhere in the Midwest, they asked 40 people, how many people think that Osama bin Laden, no, excuse me, Barack Obama is a Muslim? And 30 of them raised their hand.
It's a wacky world, huh?
Well, people, I think I talked about this. This is something I need to study to talk about on a show, but I'll introduce it now. I watched a thing on CBS Sunday Morning, which is like one of my favorite shows in the world. What belief do you absolutely have? You absolutely believe. What would it take for you to go, you know what? I was wrong. And people do that about,
If a little person is honest to me, I don't trust them. They've never been honest. They've always lied to me.
Okay. What would change your mind?
By the way, I got that from a man that I worked with. I said, what don't you believe in? I said, what would be a shocker? And he said, if a little person's honest, because little people lie a lot. I've never heard a man say that.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that no matter what belief that you have, it takes some gigantic, monumental, earth-shaking thing to have you change your mind. What I cited last week was the idea that the guy that came out with a report that inoculations may cause autism.
Yeah.
They found out that it was a complete fallacy. That his thing was.
Well, we had a whole discussion about
right.
that, which was really interesting, and it got a lot of people interested. And I got a lot of emails about that.
And there are people that will not change their mind about that.
Yeah. I realized as I've gotten older, like the last 5 years.
I don't believe in God as an organized person. I kind of recognize
a man
God
with a beard
as a force, kind of thing. But if someone if I found a convincing argument that said that there wasn't, I'd go, you know what? I guess I'm an atheist. Yeah. But I think there are people who are atheists that if you gave them proof that there was a God,
they would say absolutely
no.
I think that's the problem. That's the problem. I think and I say this about conspiracy theories a lot. I don't know what it was, and I got into this discussion. I was talking to a guy, and he was a 9/11 truther, and he came when I had my old business. He came in, and the guy was telling me, it was the buildings came down, it was an insurance job, it was this, it was that, it was this, and I realized it's easier for a man to believe that we could do this to ourselves than to, for 1 second, think that we're vulnerable.
Right.
And somebody else did this to us.
There's about 8 things that go along into conspiracies that make conspiracies happen.
And I love by the way, I love the conspiracy theories. I'm all for questioning.
Yeah.
But when it gets nutty and when it gets to the point that people are talking about holograms and the media's involved and
well, I love that at this point, Nostradamus predicted what I had for breakfast this morning.
Listen, say what you want about George Bush, but I cannot believe that this man on his conscience could run a country, be born and raised here, be an American, and for 1 second say, you know what? I'm going to kill 3,000 Americans today.
Yeah.
I cannot, and I cannot believe that. And you know what? Say I'm close-minded, and I'll be fine with that.
Right. I'm right with you. This is probably why we're friends.
I don't know. But you know what I have realized as I've gotten older and I've gotten a little bit old, I'm so much more understanding about other people, and I'm more accepting about what other people think. I don't have, and I'm a very stubborn person if I really believe in it. But it takes a lot for me to really believe in something. You know what? I really believe in I don't know, what I'm doing is right now. This is my job. This is what I'm doing. You know when I'll stop believing? When I start failing at it. When I realize it's 3 years down the line, I haven't made a dime from it, that's when I'll stop believing. But there are people that are passionate, and they don't like something because they need to choose a side. I got into a discussion with somebody, and we were talking about my cell phone. There was a family friend, and they were telling me why do you have an Android phone? You need to get an iPhone. And I said, why? He goes, well, iPhone is the best. I said, well, for you, it works. For me, I want something else. But why? Why don't you have this? They got so mad that I don't have this phone, and I wasn't. And they go, well, is your phone what? Do you think your phone is perfect? I said, no. I think my phone has a lot of flaws. I think my phone sucks in some days. He goes, how can you use something and not think it's good? I said, no, it's not that I don't think it's good. I acknowledge the flaws in what I have, and that's the biggest problem. We cannot, as a society, accept that something isn't perfect. It's black or white. It can't be both are good.
Which is sad because very little black and white actually exists. It all sort of exists in the middle as gray, and so much of it is. It just
I become
and it's
so
easier
much more
to
understanding.
Argue black and white. It's very hard for you to argue one shade of gray to my shade of gray.
We were talking,
and the fact that I always bring it down to the simplest things that I can find. I think it's what I did as a teacher. I don't like Brussels sprouts. Okay, that does not mean that I think you're an idiot if you have Brussels sprouts. Do you know what I mean? And I'm even happy that you enjoy them. I don't go, Andrew, why the hell are you eating Brussels sprouts? There's something wrong with you. You know, I just don't understand why people can't agree to disagree.
I don't because I feel that you need to feel that you're right. You need to feel that it's what you've done is correct.
Right.
We need constant acknowledgement
and
that
validation.
And validation, absolutely, that what we've done is right and we've done the right thing because we're so afraid of making a mistake. I was talking to Jess today, and we were talking about how when I first started this network, and I think I said it to you, and I think you asked me, you know, what is your goal? And I said my goal is in 2 years to make money. 2 years. And I told someone this too, and you said, you know what, that's a great goal because you know acting, you know the business, you know it takes time to develop.
Well, any business.
Any business. 2 years. But what I'm doing, Lon, you know, you've been here since the beginning. It's a far-fetched idea to sit here and to build an audience and to think, you know what, I'm with zero radio experience and zero television experience.
Right.
I'm going to build this. 2 years comes down. I've been making money for a while now. Not a lot of money. I can't really live off of that money. I have another income, but we just got the deal with Hover, and it's good money.
And it comes at the 2 year mark.
And it comes at the 2 year mark.
It's like if you set up the goal,
it'll happen.
Right.
And it happened. It happened December 28th. We got the deal with Zone Delivery USA, and which I should talk about right now. Zone Delivery USA.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't have the lower third here because something is broken. Huh. I'll talk about it at the end of the show, and I'll put it in. I'll do that. Well, I'll chop it in. So
have you been? We'll switch around because we're getting all serious and shit. Have you watched Idol at all?
No, none.
I am enjoying Idol more than I had with the old judges.
Really? Why? Why is that?
The New York Times did a really cool article on Steven Tyler.
Let me talk about her. Let me talk about Zone actually.
Okay.
Let me go into. Let me talk about Zone. We got into a really good conversation and we got off gear. I want to thank Zone Delivery USA for joining the network, sponsoring the network, and helping me lose almost 20 pounds now. I'm like 18 and a half pounds.
There's less of Andrew to be annoying now.
A ton. My face is totally different. It's not that round, puffy face that I had. I showed a picture. I think I gave it to Suncast to put on the website. And he goes, "Man, you look fat." And I was about 190 pounds there. I'm down.
You were actually the guys from Queens.
I was the guy. I was all the guys from Queens. Every one of them. And thanks to Hover, thanks to Zone, I don't even know who to thank now. I'm so excited. Thanks to Zone, I've lost so much weight, and I'm still eating. I'm never hungry. I'm never starving. I'm not eating something that tastes like cardboard and is frozen for months, and I'm barely able to chew on it. These are fresh, healthy meals prepared for me every single day, delivered to my door. I open it up. I have my breakfast. I have my lunch. I have my dinner, and I have my 3 snacks every day. And I'm totally full. And you know what I've noticed? I can't eat like I used to. I guess my stomach got smaller from not eating that much junk. And I feel great. I have so much energy. I'm able to do so much more. And you can get started too. If you go to zonedeliveryusa.com right now, you can get started to a fresh, healthy life. Thank you, Zone.
Very cool. Yeah, I've been watching it, and Steven Tyler. What the best thing about watching Steven Tyler, though, very honestly, he has one reaction for 2 situations. If a really, really good singer comes on and starts singing, he gets this look like he just gets like in this trance, and he does the same exact look if a really good looking girl comes in.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact face. And then if a really good looking girl comes in and sings really well, you kind of square it, you know, and he has that.
He looks like a crazy old woman.
Yeah.
Like, I say the same thing about Robert Plant. They all look like old women that forgot to take their estrogen pills.
Yeah.
That's what they all look like. I mean, does he know he looks ridiculous?
A lot of Brits look like that.
Yeah.
Like the old Brits, they all look like
George.
They all look like George Washington.
They all look like a foot. They look like an old
Margaret
foot.
Thatcher.
Yeah. Oh my God.
No insult to Margaret Thatcher, man.
Yeah.
She was wonderful. Meryl Streep is playing Margaret Thatcher in a movie.
Meryl Streep is still an excellent actress.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing what she's doing.
Just insanely cool. But I think what I like about, I don't dislike Jennifer Lopez as a judge, but Steven Tyler, if you told me who was going to come out front, I really thought Randy was going to take over a lot more, but it's really Tyler's show now. And the other two are like playing back support and doing it well, but Tyler's really, really good. It was insanely cool. It's been really, really cool. And what I like about having 2 performers, like I know Paula Abdul was a performer, but Paula Abdul was much more a dancer who sang.
Yeah, he wasn't
a
singer that danced. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Christina Aguilera is a singer. Britney Spears is a dancer.
Right, who sings.
Right.
But Lopez and Tyler can both sing.
Yeah.
Tyler can really sing. Did you ever see the Nova special they did where they put a camera down his throat 3 times during a performance?
No, I've never seen that.
Oh, so cool. They took a picture of his like vocal cords before he went on, halfway through the show and afterwards, and it's like he shreds his vocal cords every night. I don't know how he does it and still manages to keep going. He's unnatural.
It's the booze.
Yeah.
The
It's like he
booze
doesn't
keep him
care.
going.
He's got that same chromosome that Mick Jagger and Keith Richards has.
They all have the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. They just don't age, or they age to a certain point and then they get into that attractive corpse mode.
Well, is he married or he has a girlfriend, right?
Is he married now? I don't know what he's going. He's got two beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
You know, Liv and I forget who the other
Liv
one
Tyler,
is.
yeah, from has she done anything lately?
Well, she did all the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen her but I know she's been in stuff. She's around. My favorite thing that she ever did is That Thing You Do. I love her in that movie.
Yeah, Liv
Great
Tyler. Well, what was she? She was in
Armageddon.
Armageddon. There you go. You knew what I was thinking, Lon.
Yes.
You knew where I was going with that.
This
means the apocalypse.
Yeah, we've come full circle, Andrew.
Yeah.
We started the show talking about our love, and that's where we're going.
Yeah, it's amazing. Let's wrap it up. 8:00.
Absolutely.
8:00. Thank you guys. Lon, anything to promote before I wrap it up?
Absolutely. Listen, guys, on my Facebook page, while I was online, someone came through with a $50 donation to my AIDS ride, which I'm doing a month early. The ride is normally in California for a week from San Francisco to LA in the first week of June. I am moving it personally to New York because I can't do it in June. I'm going to do the same 545 miles within 10 miles of my own house. And I have pledged to raise $5,000, and I've raised $250. I just started raising their money. You can find the link on my Facebook page if you want to friend in. A whole bunch of people from the webcast have come on.
Oh, that's
as
excellent.
My friends, which
that's
is really,
great.
really cool.
Yeah.
But listen, I have 1,000 friends on Facebook. If you all came through with $5, this would all be over. So
why don't you write like a blog for me?
Yep.
And talking about what you're doing, and we'll put it on the website.
And then the other one I'm doing is, everyone knows I do the AIDS ride every year, and then this year is the start of my 50 centuries in 5 years. I'm doing 500. I'm doing 50 100-mile rides, one in every state.
Wow, that's
and
great.
what I'm inviting people to do. So if you're in a state that's not New York, get in touch with me. Let's find you and me and 98 other guys who want to ride a bike, or girls. And I use the generic guys to mean everything, including farm animals. Join me in a 100-mile ride in and around your town. Let's get your town involved. I'm looking for a town. The first of these rides on the slate, if one happens earlier, cool. But the first one on this slate is La Junta, Colorado, on Saturday, June 18th. I'll be riding a cloverleaf ride all in around La Junta, Colorado. And they're being great. And I need your town. Find your Chamber of Commerce, find your city government, and say, I want to do this ride. And these century rides are for the Alzheimer's Foundation of America. And I don't know anyone that doesn't have in their family or a best friend has in their family someone suffering from Alzheimer's. And I do it in honor of my dad, and I think you should do it in honor of someone that you know. So be in touch.
Excellent. We'll see you all next week. Good night, everyone.